Alright, welcome to another episode of Dirt Cheap Daily. In this episode, I'm going to make my own blast pipes from scratch. The other day, I went just to Home Depot and I picked up the longest section and the largest diameter of fence post. This is galvanized steel, so you need to take precautions when you're welding to not breathe in any of the smoke because zinc is toxic. So, consider that if you're going to get your exhaust tubing from Home Depot. Home Depot was actually cheaper for this galvanized bit than it was at the normal place that I buy metal for about the same size and length of tube for mild steel. While it's not the best thing, it's not that big of a deal either. And so I'm just going to use this and call it good. Alright, so the first thing I did, I took a paper towel roll and I kind of mocked up how I'm going to build it with just the paper towel roll. Paper towel rolls work really good for prototyping exhaust work. If nothing else, it lets you practice cutting tube at angles and figuring out what angles you want. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. So it's really cold tonight and it's a whole lot later than I wanted to get started on this. I had a lot of stuff going on earlier today and I'm just barely getting to this. So, I'm going to do all my cutting inside. I don't want to be cutting and making a ton of noise this late at night. They are my neighbors. I don't really know a lot of them. I know this guy next door and I know these guys next door. But mostly just out of common courtesy. I don't want to make a ton of noise at night. Both of our cars at this house are pretty loud and we get home pretty late at night, and so we just dump it in neutral, and our cars can take corners at like 30 miles an hour, so we just put it in neutral and don't use the brakes to get around into our little cul-de-sac so we don't disrupt our neighbors. We also don't go rev up or anything late at night, just because your neighbors, if there's something wrong with your car, or if you have like a car out on the street for months at a time, you don't want to be a jerk to your neighbors, because they're the ones that are going to call the cops on you and get your car towed or do other crap that is just stupid to deal with. Common courtesy for your neighbors is part of good car culture. Lots of people say it's not, and it really is. So be kind to your neighbors. I'm going to do all the cutting in my garage. It's going to make a mess in the garage, but I want to get it done, and I don't really have a lot of time to do it besides late at night this week. So, making the sacrifice to have a dirty garage to keep up good relationships with my neighbors, because that's important. So I got my two pieces with the angle cut, and what I've done is just kind of shoved them up against a flat surface and then lined them up and figured out where I need to cut them so that they can go together. And so I'm going to cut this one right along that line, and hopefully it'll make it so these two can mesh together. So when I line these guys up like that, you can see that that divot right through here fits real nice. We're going to go ahead and make a line right along there. Alright, there's my two holes. So now I'll be able to come on here and put two blast pipes going out, and then I'll have to cut little quarter pie cuts and then have my one that comes out the center. I also have some larger, this stuff is only 2 inch, I have some 2.5 inch that I could use. but that's kind of the direction I'm heading. I think I'm gonna call it good for tonight. I will see you tomorrow night, where I will finish this bad boy up. Okay, so this is the point we're at right now. I got these pieces put on to extend that up so it'll actually fit onto the right size pipe that I'm using. And now I'm going to weld this onto here, and then all that is left is welding on the 2 blast pipes. So it's going right along. It's pretty simple. Just takes a bit of time to fab everything together. So gonna weld this one, and yeah, we're getting close. There we go. It's kind of Frankenstein, or really Frankenstein, but it's together, and it's a Y pipe. That's mostly all I care about. So now I'm gonna go ahead and cut a couple lengths and weld them on, and I'll be done with fabrication, at least. Here's where we left off the other night. We got the Y pipe finished up. Looks really Frankenstein, but it's solid. Now we're gonna put the blast pipes on, and then we'll be done until we can get to it in the morning. So what I just did there, I just cut these off so that they would be perfectly flat and perpendicular to the vector that it's running at, and then I cut these off so that they would be perfectly flat. Last night when I cut them, I was just cutting down here on the ground because the pipe was so long. I got kind of wobbly cuts on it, and so cutting it perpendicular and flush, won't have to worry about it. I'm just going to go ahead and tack this one, and then I'll tack the other one, and make sure that they're lining up the way I want them to. Okay. Okay, there's a good connection point between the 2 blast pipes. Now we'll go ahead and weld them up. there you go. I'm just going to take my wire wheel to it and clean off all of the burrs and make sure I don't have any pinholes. Other than that though, whew, it's warm. That's it for the major fabrication. I will need to smooth off these edges here, but until I figure out what I'm going to do with the tips, that's it. There she is, in all its Frankenstein glory. Frankly, I don't even care that these welds look like crap, because it's gonna hold it together, and it's up underneath the car where you can't even get underneath it without jacking it up. No one's gonna see it except for everybody on social media, and half of those people on social media don't even know how to weld. So that's about as far as I care. So it looks good and it's together, and it's a whole lot cheaper for, what was that, maybe 3 or 4 hours of my time, and $16 worth of pipe at Home Depot. If you have an issue with the quality, go check out my reveal episode on the paint job. In that I kind of talk about dealing with quality versus cost. Again, I could pay someone to make this, or even just buy one off eBay that is already made. That defeats the whole purpose of why I'm doing this myself, though. I'm using basically the cheapest tools you can get, the bare minimum. I don't even have a vise that I use. I'm using almost all the fabrication I've done for the turbo build has been with a $70 Harbor Freight welder, a 4.5 inch angle grinder, obviously personal protection, so one of these is like $2 at Harbor Freight. These are $1 at Harbor Freight. This was $40 at Harbor Freight. Welding gloves, I think I spent $15 on Amazon. And one of these like wood clamps. My workbench is a big wooden spool that I found by the dumpster at work and I brought home. So yeah, these are like essentials for doing anything fabrication wise, and they're about as cheap and ghetto as it gets. The major point is that you don't need a fancy shop or even a garage to build the car that you want to build. I have really basic tools. Tools that I use, it's probably less than $300 worth of tools, and I'm doing all of this in my backyard. Hopefully this inspires some of you guys to do more stuff to your own car. This car is really to try and show people that you can build whatever you want at home with basic tools. So yeah, it's not show car titanium welded blast pipes, but it is blast pipes. Tomorrow I'm hoping to have time to actually get this up on the car. I only have about that much left, but I'm hoping that should be long enough so I can connect that up to my resonator and have it exit out the back of the car. If I have to go buy more pipe, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I would rather not, though, because this is the only thing I'm going to use it for. So we will make do, and hopefully it will work. Anyway, thanks for watching. Drop a comment, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe, because in the future I'm going to have other builds that are a bit more professional than this one. The Legacy GT is really just to show people that you can build a car for dirt cheap and have it rip. So if this kind of stuff doesn't interest you, I will have some pretty cool stuff in the future that might. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Yeah, peace out.